Okay, slide is visible. Okay. So we were in the last class we were discussing the Hall effect. So let me just remind of Hall effect, and then we'll go to the derivation of Hall coefficient. So what is Hall effect in brief? The Hall effect is the production of a Hall voltage difference known as the Hall voltage across a current carrying conductor in the presence of a magnetic field perpendicular to both the current and the magnetic field. That is, so we have discussed this in the last class. If you take a conductor, so we have a rectangular conductor. So in this rectangular conductor, what we are doing, we are supplying the current in this x direction. Current is in the x direction, and then we are applying the magnetic field in the z direction. So once you apply, the y direction, once you apply the current in the x direction, the magnetic field in the y direction, then we will be having a voltage, what is called as the Hall voltage. A Hall voltage will be developed on this side and this side, that is in the y direction, that is in the z direction, perpendicular to both the direction of the current as well as the direction of the magnetic field. So this development of a voltage in a direction perpendicular to both the current and the magnetic field of a conductor, whenever a current is flowing in the conductor, is what is known as Hall effect. And if you connect here a voltmeter, we'll be able to observe a voltage in this direction. That is what is called Hall voltage. So this phenomena we call it as what is known as Hall effect, right? So this is, we have discussed this with the help of a diagram. So here we have a Hall tube. So the current is allowed in this direction, Then we are applying a magnetic field perpendicular to the direction of the current, and then you can observe a Hall voltage in this direction. That is, if you connect a voltmeter here perpendicular to this current and the magnetic field, you will observe a voltage in this voltmeter. That voltage we call it as what is known as Hall voltage, and the phenomena we call it what is known as Hall effect. Right? This we have discussed in the last class. And then now, so the Hall voltage is given by a formula which is known as a VH equals to RH into I into B divided by B. So what is a VH? VH stands for Hall voltage. RH stands for a proportionality constant, what is known as what a Hall coefficient. So RH is a Hall coefficient, and you can see this I is the current passing through the conductor, B the applied magnetic field, and what is small b? Small b is the width of the conductor. So from this formula, it is very clear that the Hall voltage is directly proportional to the applied magnetic field, and it is inversely proportional to the width of the conductor, right? So from this formula, we can obtain an expression for the Hall coefficient RH equals to VH into small b divided by I into capital B. The expression for Hall coefficient. So this is one expression for Hall coefficient. We have one more expression for Hall coefficient, RH equals to 1 divided by Ne, where N stands for electron concentration or the charge carrier concentration, and E stands for the charge on the particle, whether it's the electron or hole, the charge on the corresponding particle. So this is one more formula for the Hall coefficient. Now we are going to derive these two expressions. We are going to derive these two expressions for Hall coefficient, and we are also going to obtain the expression for Hall voltage, right? So we have discussed in the last class, the Hall effect is required whenever you want to identify whether the given material is a N-type or a P-type material. Because by just measuring the conductivity, we will not be able to know whether the given type is a P-type material or a N-type material. So we can identify the given material as N-type or a P-type with the help of what is called the Hall effect experiment. and it is also possible to identify the parameter what is called density of charge carriers. What is the density of charge carriers? That is small n. We can also identify the value of small n with the help of this Hall effect experiment. We'll discuss that here. So how do you define Hall effect? We say if a piece of conductor, whether it is a metal or a semiconductor, carrying a current is placed in a transverse magnetic field, means perpendicular to the direction of the current. An electric field is produced inside the conductor in a direction normal to both the current and the magnetic field. So here we say it is the electric field. I had told you in the last class whether we say it is electric field or the voltage, they are one another the same, because we know that electric field E is always given by E equals to V divided by L, where V is the voltage developed across a conductor and L is the length of the conductor. So this phenomena we call it as what is known as Hall effect, and the generated voltage is what is known as Hall voltage, right? Now let's try to obtain the expression for Hall voltage and Hall coefficient. So the Hall effect may be explained by the diagram 10.40, which shows the front face of the slab. That is, if you observe here, what we have here is we have a rectangular slab. This is a rectangular slab which we have taken it as a conductor. As you can see from the diagram, we are supplying the current in the x direction. So the direction of current is in the x direction. Once you say the current direction is in the x direction, then obviously the electrons will be moving in the opposite direction. So this will be the direction of the current and this will be the direction of the current, right? So current is applied to the conductor from here. So it is moving in the x direction. The electrons are moving in the opposite direction. And then where we are applied the magnetic field, we are applying the magnetic field here in the z direction. As you can see, this is the z direction perpendicular to the x direction. So perpendicular to the current, we are applying a magnetic field in the z direction. Then as per the Hall effect, we should obtain a voltage or a potential difference in the y direction. In the y direction, that is, a Hall voltage will be established or an electric field will be established in a direction perpendicular to this, that is perpendicular to both x direction and that of the z direction. So if you want to measure that Hall voltage, what we need is we need two probes. So you can see this bottom face is connected to one probe, and this top face is connected to the another probe. So probe attached to phase 2, probe attached to phase 1 in order to measure the observed Hall voltage, right? So with this experimental setup, now we try to obtain the expression for Hall coefficient as well as for Hall voltage, right? So to begin with, we say that assuming that the material is of n-type semiconductor, means we are considering this material of one type. What is that? N-type semiconductor. Then the current flow consists almost entirely of electrons moving from right to left. That is, it is moving from, this is a right to left. And once you say it is n-type, the majority carriers are going to be electrons. So most of the current is due to what? Is due to electrons. Then here you say this corresponds to the direction of a conventional current from left to right. Yeah, see here we are saying the current flow consists almost entirely of electrons moving from right to left. So what is that we are saying? Current is moving in this direction. We are saying electrons are moving from right to left, that is in this direction, opposite to that of the current, as shown in the figure, right? Then, so here we are saying if V, you can see, if V is the velocity of electrons at right angles to the magnetic field, what it means, when we say these electrons are moving in this direction, they will be moving with a particular velocity. What is the velocity of the electrons? The velocity of the electrons is taken as V. So if v is the velocity of the electrons at right angles to the magnetic field, you can see this moment is going to be perpendicular to that of the z direction. So we say if velocity v is the velocity of the electrons at right angles to the magnetic field, there is a downward force on each electron of magnitude BeV. So what it means, you can see, you can look at this diagram now. What is this diagram? We have taken the front face. We have taken the front face of this rectangular slab. Let's say the electron is moving in this direction, right? From right to left. Then it is observed that due to the presence of this magnetic field, in the z direction, these electrons, instead of traveling straight, how they are supposed to travel? They are supposed to travel straight, right? Like this. But due to the presence of this magnetic field, it is observed that these electrons will experience a force, what is known as a Lorentz force. So instead of traveling straight like this, they undergo a deflection like this. They undergo a deflection like this. So what is this direction of deflection? This is in a direction perpendicular to that of the z direction and that of the x direction. So the electrons which are traveling straight here, instead of traveling straight like this, due to the presence of this magnetic field, they undergo some kind of deflection, what is known as they undergo a Lorentz force deflection, and they will be deflected like this. So all the electrons which are traveling here, they will be deflected like this. All the electrons which are coming here, they will be deflected like this. So instead of traveling straight, all the electrons which are traveling from in this direction, they all will be deflected like this. So what is the force of that deflection? It is given by BeV. So that force is what is known as Lorentz force. So what is B stands for? B stands for the applied magnetic field. E stands for the charge of the electron, and V stands for the corresponding velocity with which the electrons are moving. Then, so once you say the electrons start accumulating in this bottom surface, that is in this bottom surface, that is on phase 1, you can see this is the phase 1, it is the bottom surface. So if all the electrons start accumulating here in this surface due to the deflection, then you can see there is going to be a potential difference established in the bottom surface and the top surface. There is going to be a potential difference established in the bottom surface and that of the top surface. Why? Because all the electrons are coming like this, they are undergoing deflection like this, and they are coming and settling in the bottom surface. So if we take the top and the bottom surface, there is going to be a potential difference established, or there is going to be what is called an electric field established in the bottom surface and that of the top surface. And this voltage established from top to bottom, we call it as what is known as Hall voltage, or the field established here is what is called the electric field. As you can see, so this causes the electron current to be deflected in a downward direction and causes a negative charge to accumulate on the bottom face of the slab. So all the negative charges will be accumulated in the bottom face. Then a potential difference is therefore established from top to bottom of the specimen. As I told you, from top to bottom, there is going to be a potential difference will be established from top to bottom of the specimen with the bottom face negative. So this is taken as now negative because the electrons are accumulated here. Then this potential difference causes a field EH in the negative y direction. Look at this carefully. Here we say this potential difference causes a field EH in the negative y direction. What is the meaning of this? Once you say the electrons are accumulated here, right? We'll be having the electrons here and we'll be having the holes here, right? And what is the direction of the what is the direction of the electric field? Remember, always the direction of the electric field is taken from positive to negative. The direction of the electric field is taken from always positive to negative. Therefore, we are saying the electric field EH is in the negative y direction. Means what? if you take this as the positive y direction, now the electric field is established from top to bottom, because the positive charge is here and the negative charge is here, and the direction of electric field is always from top to bottom. Therefore, we say it is in the negative y direction, negative y direction. And so there is a force of E into EH acting in the upward direction on the electron. What is this? So once we say a force is acting in the downward direction, there has to be some kind of force acting in the upward direction in order to maintain the equilibrium. In order to maintain the equilibrium, there has to be some force acting in the upward direction opposite to that of this downward direction. So if we say BEV is the force acting in the downward direction, then we say this E into EH is the force acting in this upward direction in order to maintain the equilibrium. Both of them are going to get cancelled with each other. So what is this force? E into EH. What is E here? E is the charge of the electron. And what is EH? EH is the applied electric field developed from the top to bottom surface. So once we have these two forces, BEV and EEH, so at equilibrium, that is, equilibrium occurs when these two forces EEH and BEV are going to be equal to each other. So therefore, we say equilibrium occurs when EEH is equals to BEV. So we are equating both of them, EH equals to BEV. From this, we can obtain the expression for EH. So EH equals to B into V. This E and this E get cancelled with each other. Therefore, we get EH equals to B into V, where EH is the applied magnetic field, EH is the electric field developed, B is the applied magnetic field, and V is the velocity with which the electrons are moving. Then, if Jx is the current density in the x direction, so what is current density? The current density can be expressed as Jx equals to N into E into V. So what is this? N is the charge concentration. You can see where N is the concentration of the current carriers, and E charge of the electron, and V is the velocity, right? So the current density can be expressed by this equation. Then what we do, we substitute this value of V in this expression. From this, what is the V? V is going to be Jx divided by Ne, right? So this value of V is going to be substituted here. Then we say thus EH. Therefore, what is this EH is going to be? EH is going to be V is kept as it is. What is V here? V is taken as Jx divided by Ne. V is taken as Jx divided by Ne. So we got an expression for EH, the established electric field. EH equals to Bgx divided by Ne. Remember this. This is one expression. Then we say the Hall effect is described by means of a Hall coefficient RH, which is defined in terms of current density Jx. So there is an expression for a Hall coefficient RH and the current density Jx. So this RH and Jx are expressed by a simple relation. The relation is given as, this is the expression between the EH and RH and Jx. So the EH, the electric field, the RH Hall coefficient, and the current density Jx and the applied magnetic field B are related by this expression, EH equals to RH into Jx into B. Then from this we can say therefore RH is equals to EH divided by Jx into B. RH equals to EH divided by Jx into B. Then what is EH? We know the value of EH. That is, from the previous slide, you can see EH equals to Bjx divided by Ne. EH equals to Bjx divided by Ne. So therefore, we substitute the value of the EH here. It is Bjx divided by Ne. Jx, B and B get cancelled with each other. So what we left with ultimately, we will be left with RH equals to 1 divided by NE. That is, we have taken this EH in the previous expression. It is BJX divided by NE, right? So this JX, this B get cancelled with each other. So ultimately we are left with what? RH equals to 1 divided by NE. So this is one of the expression for Hall coefficient. Hall coefficient RH equals to 1 divided by NE. Here you can see this is finally expressed as RH equals to minus of 1 divided by NE. Why minus? Because negative sign is used because the electric field is developed in the negative y direction. As you have seen in the previous case, the direction of the electric field is what? In the negative y direction. So this is the positive y direction, and electric field is taken in the negative y direction. Why? Because the positive charge is here, top surface, negative charge is here, bottom surface. Always electric field is taken from positive to negative. Therefore, the direction of the electric field is negative. Since it is in the negative y direction, this is taken as minus 1 divided by any one expression for the Hall coefficient, right? So we say finally RH equals to minus of EH divided by BJX, that is equals to minus of 1 divided by NE, right? Then here we say all the three quantities EH, B and JX can be measured, and so the Hall coefficient and current density N can be found out. What it means, this electric field EH, it can be measured by measuring the voltage. This B is the applied magnetic field known to us. What is Jx? This Jx can be measured by knowing the current and area. So all this EH, B and Jx can be measured. Once you are able to measure these three parameters, then we can calculate what? We can calculate this RH, Hall coefficient. From this one, EH is known, B is known, Gx is known. So we can calculate the value of this RH, the Hall coefficient, right? Then once you know the value of RH, it is possible to calculate N also, the so-called charge concentration. Why? Because we know RH equals to 1 divided by NE. We know RH, we know E, we can calculate the value of N, right? So by knowing the value of RH, we can calculate the value of N also, the electron concentration or charge concentration, right? Then, so we say figure 10.41, this figure, the figure 10.41 shows the condition that exists in a similar p-type specimen. P-type specimen, when the current is entirely by the holes, means instead of taking the given material as of n-type, in the previous we have discussed all this by taking the material as what? N-type. Instead of n-type, if you take a p-type material, then what is the only difference? The only difference is what? The majority charge carriers are going to be now the holes. So therefore, if we say the holes are moving in this direction, again, just like the electrons, they also undergo deflection in this perpendicular direction. Deflection in this perpendicular direction. Ultimately, what's going to happen? We'll be having the positive charges accumulated on this side and negative charges accumulated on this side. So once you have a charge separation, there is going to be a potential difference established, and there is going to be an electric field established. What is the only difference? The only difference is that now the positive side is here and negative electrons are here. So the direction of current is always from positive to negative. The direction of electric field is always from positive to negative. You can see this direction is in the positive direction of y direction. Positive direction of y direction. Therefore, we say this RH is equals to EH divided by BJX, that is equals to 1 divided by P into E. So we don't take a negative sign here because the direction of electric field is in the positive direction of Y. So instead of taking N, we take here what is called P. So RH equals to 1 divided by P into E, where P stands for the positive hole density. That is the only difference if it is a of P type, right? Then so we have one more expression for Hall coefficient. what we discussed so far is one type of expression. We have one more expression, that is determination of Hall coefficient. The Hall coefficient is determined by measuring the Hall voltage that generates the Hall field. So if VH is the Hall voltage across the sample of thickness T, that is how we are going to measure this Hall coefficient experimentally. Experimentally, when you do the experiment, we know that there is going to be a voltage developed. So if this is the conductor, the voltage is developed here and here. So what we do, we connect here a voltmeter, we connect here a voltmeter. So with the help of this voltmeter, we measure the voltage, right? So once you measure the voltage, it is possible to, calculate what is known as this electric field EH. How? If VH is the voltage across the sample of thickness T, let's say the thickness is T, right? Then the electric field or the Hall voltage is given by VH equals to EH divided by EH into T. How we got this expression? From this expression, you can say EH equals to VH divided by T, right? You remember I told you E is given by V divided by L, right? V divided by L. So now in this case, now the voltage is taken to this side and to this side. So what is the thickness of this? It is taken as T. So on the same basis of this expression, the voltage is taken as VH. This thickness is what? This thickness is nothing but T. So therefore, we say EH equals to VH divided by T, or in other words, VH is equals to EH into T, right? Then once you express this, but we know what is the value of this EH from the previous expression. What is EH? EH is equals to B into RH into JX. This EH is given by B into RH into JX. Therefore, we say this VH is equals to B into RH into JX into this T, into this T, right? Then if B is the width of the sample, remember we have this conductor like this, its a thickness is a T and breadth is B. Thickness is T, breadth is B. If B is the width of the sample, then its cross section will be B into T. That is, the thickness into breadth gives you the area B into T. That is, then the current density is given by Jx equals to Ix divided by Bt. Why? We have discussed in the previous case, J equals to what? J equals to I by A, the current density, right? I by A. So I is what here? Ix in the x direction. What is this area? Area is taken as B into T, breadth into this corresponding thickness, that gives you area. So for Jx is going to be Ix divided by B into T. So we substitute this value of Jx in this expression. So what is VH is going to be? Therefore, VH is equals to this RH is kept as it is, B is kept as it is, right? This T is kept as it is. Only this is Jx is replaced by what? Ix divided by Bt. So Ix divided by Bt, right? So from this T and this T get cancelled with each other. So we'll be left with what? We'll be left with VH equals to RH into Ix into B divided by B. This is one of the very important expression of the Hall voltage. It is VH equals to RH into Ix into B divided by small b. What is VH here? VH is the Hall voltage. What is RH? It is the Hall coefficient. What is Ix stands for? The current in the x direction. What is B stands for? The applied magnetic field. And what is small b stands for? The width of the conductor. Width of the conductor. So from this expression, it is very clear that the Hall voltage developed is always going to be directly proportional to the applied magnetic field, because Ix is current which is passing through the conductor is kept constant. So VH, the Hall voltage, is directly proportional to the applied magnetic field. B, more the applied magnetic field, more the Hall voltage. Lesser the applied magnetic field, lesser the Hall voltage. One very important conclusion. Then you can see this is Hall voltage is inversely proportional to width of the conductor. More the width, lesser the Hall voltage, lesser the width, more the Hall voltage. And you can also see from this equation, it is also inversely proportional to T. What is T? The thickness of the conductor. Means what? More the thickness, lesser the Hall voltage. Lesser the thickness, more the Hall voltage. More the Hall voltage. As you can see from this expression, one can easily find out the Hall voltage by doing an experiment. What is that? That is, we measure the current. Current is known to us. The applied magnetic field is known to us, and the value of B is known to us. And then this RH we calculate as we discussed, in the earlier case. So we can calculate the value of VH, the value of VH. Or in other words, we can calculate this RH, the Hall coefficient, by an expression RH equals to VH into B divided by IX into B. So this is an expression for Hall coefficient. This is an expression for Hall voltage. Hall voltage. So from this expression, you can calculate the so-called, Hall coefficient. What is VH? The voltage developed, which is measured using a voltmeter. What is B? Breadth of the conductor, which can be measured. What is I? Current flowing in the conductor, which is known to us. What is B? The applied magnetic field. So by knowing all these, we can measure the Hall voltage RH directly, right? So this is how one can obtain an expression for the Hall voltage, and one can obtain an expression for the Hall coefficient. So this is one expression for RH, and we have also discussed in the previous case one more expression. This RH is equals to 1 divided by NE. 1 divided by NE. These are the two expressions for Hall coefficient, and this is the expression for Hall voltage, right? Then what are the applications of this Hall effect? Applications of this Hall effect. You can see there are many applications of Hall effect. Hall effect can be used to determine the type of the given semiconductor. It is whether the given semiconductor is of N type or P type. It is possible to identify using the Hall effect experiment. How? That is, as you can see here, whether a given material is a P type or N type can be identified by knowing the value of this RH. We do the experiment and we determine this value of Hall coefficient RH. If this RH is a negative, after substituting all the values, if this RH is a negative, we say that the given conductor is of N type. If this RH is a positive, we say that the given conductor is of P type. It's of P type. So by knowing the value of RH, we can tell the type of the given semiconductor. If RH is negative, the given semiconductor is N type. If RH is positive, the given semiconductor is P type. So if you look at this equation, it depends upon what? It depends upon the only parameter, this VH, Hall voltage. Means what? For a given semiconductor, the Hall voltage is going to be negative for N type of material, and the Hall voltage is going to be positive for P type of semiconductors. So therefore, by noting this value of VH, the Hall voltage, and we can calculate the value of RH, and we can say if RH is a negative, then the given material is N type. If RH is positive, the given material is P type. This is how, by doing the experiment, by calculating this VH value, if it is a negative, given material is N type. If it is positive, given material is P type. One can identify the type of the given semiconductor, whether it's a P type or N type, right? Then, so the second application is what? It is used to calculate the carrier concentration. Carrier concentration N. Now, how to calculate the carrier concentration N? That is, as you can see from this equations here. By using this equation, we can calculate RH, right? Why? Because we know the voltage developed, it can be measured using a voltmeter. B, width of the conductor can be measured. I, the current flowing in the conductor is known to us. B, the applied magnetic field is known to us. By knowing all these parameters, you calculate RH, right? Once RH is known to us, we know that RH is equals to 1 divided by NE, right? So RH is known to us, E is known to us. So we can calculate E. We can calculate the value of N. What is called the charge concentration. The value of N can be calculated, right? Then, what is the third application? We say it is used to determine the mobility of the carriers. Yes, one more important parameter, the mobility of the carriers can be determined. Now how? We have an expression, the mobility mu is equals to, no, we have an expression here, sigma equals to N into E into mu. There is a relation between this sigma, what is sigma? Conductivity, and what is mu? Mobility. So we have expression sigma equals to N E mu, right? So by using this equation, we can calculate the value of this mobility mu by knowing conductivity. By knowing conductivity, by knowing N, by knowing E, we can calculate the value of mobility mu, right? For a given material, the conductivity will be known to us, and N is calculated by doing this experiment in this manner. N is determined and E is known, mu can be calculated. Then, for the last one, it is used to determine the magnetic flux density, that is B. Magnetic flux density B. Now how? Because if you look at this expression here, I told you this VH, the VH is directly proportional to B. VH is directly proportional to B. So once you calculate the value of VH, it is as good as calculating the value of B, because both of them are directly proportional to each other. So therefore, when you calculate the VH, it's as good as calculating the value of B. Therefore, we say the value of magnetic flux can be determined by using this experiment. So these are some of the very important applications of Hall effect, very important applications of Hall effect, right? So this is all about the Hall effect and the derivation of Hall coefficient. Now we'll go for a small quiz on Hall effect, right? So Hall effect is applicable to, Hall effect is applicable to, yes. What is the correct answer? It is applicable to conductors as well as semiconductors. No, it's not only for semiconductors. It is for both conductors as well as for semiconductors. The correct answer is C, both A and B. So it's applicable for both, right? Then, second question. In Hall effect, Hall voltage is produced perpendicular to the direction of current, perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, or perpendicular to both current and the magnetic field. The uh, correct answer is C. It is perpendicular to both the current and the magnetic field. It is perpendicular to both current and the magnetic field. So correct answer is C. Then the Hall coefficient RH. The Hall coefficient RH is directly proportional to Hall voltage, inversely proportional to Hall voltage, or both. The Hall coefficient RH is it directly proportional to Hall voltage or inversely proportional to Hall voltage or both? The correct answer is yes, no. It is directly proportional to Hall voltage. More the Hall voltage, more the Hall coefficient. Because VH equals to RH into I into B divided by small b, right? So therefore, the Hall coefficient is directly proportional to Hall voltage, right? Then the Hall voltage VH is directly proportional to width of the conductor, inversely proportional to width of the conductor, or both. What is the correct answer? The yes, the Hall voltage is inversely proportional to the width of the conductor. So as I told you, it is inversely proportional to width of the conductor as well as inversely proportional to thickness of the conductor, both, right? So it is the correct answer is B. Then the last question, the Hall effect can be used to determine the type of a given semiconductor. True or false? Is it possible to identify the given material as P type or N type? Yes, it is possible. We can identify the given material as P-type or N-type by using the Hall effect experiment. I think this is all about the Hall effect and its applications. And we have come to this end of this semiconductor chapter. This is the end of this semiconductor chapter, right? So I think we will stop at this point and discuss a new topic in the next class.